Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I'm your host, Chris Kirkwood, here with my boys, the Notorious one, Derek Farnsworth, and the Fantasy Bar's own Beersmaker, Chris Prince. How we doing, fellas? We're back for week 11. I'm pumped up. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good. I can't believe it's week 11. We always do this every year. Like, man, it's already week 11. I mean, the season's going to be over here soon. So cruising right along. I do like this slate, so going to be a fun one here. So I'm ready. Holidays right around the corner. Like, it's a good time of the year.
Yes, sir. Thanksgiving right at the end. It's actually a good card for Thanksgiving, right? This season.
I think so. I haven't gotten that far ahead, but I know Green Bay, Detroit. I know that for sure. We know Dallas for sure.
That's all we need is Green Bay, Detroit. That should be a good one. What's up, Noto? How we doing?
Yeah, doing well. What's up, everyone in the chat? Shout out to all the regulars. Yeah, it's weird. Like, the NBA season feels so long. The MLB season feels so long. And NFL, even though it's like, 4 or 5 months, it just goes by in a flash. So it's wild. But yeah, week 11, lucky number 11 is going to be a good week, hopefully. And yeah, can't wait for the holidays. One of my favorite times of the year.
Yes, sir. As far as last week went, I had the right game. Was cruising right along. I stacked the hell out of Drake May and the Bucks. Unfortunately, I didn't have Achane. So once Achane went off, I don't know who. Someone on the show was saying they didn't like him very much. I don't really remember. I just know I didn't play him, and I played Rico Dowdle instead. And I was good until that second touchdown hit. But kudos to Beer for playing Achane. I heard he had some good lineups with Achane.
Sure did. We need to run the tape back here because never was it said to not play him. There were other high end guys who liked a little bit more. They were all in play. So
no, it was I made the wrong choice. I just got stuck on Rico. I loved him so much, and that game.
And he started out so well. And then how do you get
right off the bat? He got the touchdown.
Right? Yeah, and then you get game scripted out by the damn Saints.
Not only that, I was talking in chat too. I was like, people actually didn't put Stephon Diggs in every single lineup they built today, and then he just did nothing the second half. That game just fizzled. They just both teams were just fizzled. It was looking so promising.
Hey, our boy Travion, though, finally unlocked.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We got that one right. All right. So we've got week 11 here, 11 games. I'll get that first in a second. I want to say what's up to chat. Don Yeezy won and the minus 800 favorite. Took it back again this week for being the first in chat. Dynasty Dave almost beat him. A little quicker next week, and you got him. What's up, everybody? Richie Smalls is here. Smith. So it's going to be a good show. First, let's talk about RotoGrinders real quickly. Combo Pro, you looking to get into some NFL DFS access this season? Why not get more bang for your buck with this Combo Pro deal for a limited time? You can get your first month of Combo Pro for just $79.99. That's only $5 more than an NFL DFS monthly subscription. So don't pass up this elite value. If you want to just take a dip in the pool, grab a 3-day pass promo. Want to try our NFL DFS tools with a full season without a full season commitment? For a limited time, get half off a 3-day NFL pass and access everything you need to crush the slate. You'll get our optimizer tool, Lineup HQ, which is packed with player projections, ownership projections, and more. You'll also get SimLabs NFL, the easiest way to build smart, competitive lineups in just a few clicks. All that and more for only $9.99. Don't miss your chance to get a serious edge this week. All right, week 11, we're here. We've got 4 games that stick out from a total perspective. Cincy at Pitt, up to a 49-point total, which is it's been going up, but there has been some weather. It looks like we're going to get some strong winds in that game. I always never know how to play this, so I usually just ignore that for the most, maybe dock them a little bit. The next highest total is Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota 2.5-point favorites at home, 48.5. The cash quarterback is going to be JJ, it looks like. So that game is going to be important, how to navigate. San Francisco -3 at Arizona, 48.5 point total there. And then the game I like, Seattle at Rams -3. I mean, I just feel good about that game because it's two good offenses. Yes, it's two good defenses, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game. So that I'm really looking at ways how to stack that game. And then I'll do an honorable mention is Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Buffalo -5.5. Total is 46.5. Long story short, this is like the week of a buffet of cheap quarterbacks. So no one better to give us a cool little overview of that is our boy Noto, who writes up all the key personnel picks this week, every week on RotoGrinders. So Noto, we got a buffet of quarterbacks. What big picture overview on the slate? How's it looking for you?
Yeah, definitely like the cheap quarterback route this week, and it's not like there's just one to choose from. We got, a handful of guys that you can play with some confidence. But yeah, the weather's kind of the big story for me. Green Bay, New York, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, gusts anyway. Cincy, Pittsburgh, 30, 35 mile per hour gusts. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, 35 mile per hour gusts. And then Baltimore, Cleveland, same thing, 35 mile per hour gusts. Now, typically the weather, I never make the right decision when I play into it. It doesn't end up mattering. When I don't, it ends up impacting the games. I typically don't factor in, rain and snow all that much. But when the wind's at 30 plus miles per hour, I do think it's going to impact the passing games a little bit. We've seen some of the totals come down, especially on the Buccaneers-Bills game. That total's come down 4 points since it opened. So just something to keep in mind if you are attacking those games. I do think you can bump up the running games there. And, the other key decision point is going to be which expensive wide receiver you want to put into your lineups. You got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka, JSN. Like, you can probably only afford one, maybe two of these guys. So that's kind of going to be the big decision point for me.
Yeah, crazy slate last week when all those guys just started off great, and then the defenses just scored all the points, like that Seattle game that went nuts. All right, Beer, big picture overview. What stands out to you on this slate?
Yeah, weather, of course. We'll keep an eye on it. It's easy to overreact. It's easy to underreact to it. So, I like to look at that stuff as we get closer to kickoffs of those games. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I think there'll be a pretty common build this week. Is going to be likely cheap quarterback, jamming some of these higher end receivers, maybe with a value receiver. I think there's a lot of solid running back plays that are probably a little bit too cheap, and you'll probably get a lot of Trey McBride. So not that you can't play some of those. We're going to walk through every position, and I think there's good chalk, bad chalk. But I think there will be a pretty common build in tournaments. So always a fun week to just try to build a little bit different.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm going to go over the blitz most plays quickly. Cardi's got KC at Denver, Cincy at Pittsburgh, Baltimore at Cleveland. Over at ETR Up and Pace article that they've got Seattle at the Rams, Cincy at Pitt, and San Fran at Arizona. All right, do what we always do, start at the running back position. We'll then head over to quarterbacks, align that for our stacks of wide receivers, throw some tight ends in there, talk about defense, and then we will build a lineup. But we're going to build two lineups today because we're also going to do a fan appreciation week. We'll probably do this every week, but one of your people in chat, send us a lineup of your favorite stack, and we'll finish it off for you. So this week we got Don Yeezy doing that for us. So then we'll obviously build our own lineup as well, and then we'll call it a show. All right, running back position. From the chalk perspective, at least, it looks like people are going to be all over Chase Brown. Cincy at Pitt is just a game, that should go off. We know there's some wins that could help out Chase Brown as well. Also, Samaje Perine is out, so he's going to be very popular. On the other side of that game, Jaylen Warren has some coach speak from Tomlin that he may see an increased workload. 6,100. Then the guy gets a workload, he produces. So that's a good one. We've got the high-end guys. We've got CMC, who fizzled last week, more so from just a game environment standpoint. But you can't question the workload ever with that guy against Arizona. That game will shoot out. Two bad defenses. San Francisco is just, a sieve right now, missing so many players. And then Arizona missing some corners as well, got destroyed last week. Josh Jacobs is there at the top. Bijan, I feel like he's out of favor just because of Algier stealing his workload from the goal line perspective, maybe some game environments problems, but this is still like one of the most athletic running backs we've seen in a long time playing against Carolina. So I could see him going off. Yes, he's had 3 weeks that were down for him, but this seems like a good week for him. Aaron Jones is going to be popular, and Rico Dowdle. And then we've got a lot of other plays. Noto, who are your key personnel this week?
Yeah, you mentioned my 3 favorites. The first, Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's already in a great spot going up against the Giants, who are 32nd in EPA against the run, 30th in fantasy points allowed to running backs, 30th in PFF run grade. So basically bottom 2 run defense. Then you got the wind in that game too. So I think Jacobs going to get 20 to 25 touches. They're coming off of a bad loss where, the other team was calling out their plays towards the end of the game, the Eagles. So I do think we're going to see a nice game from Jacobs. He kind of gives you that nice discount from CMC. Not that I don't like CMC, but that $1,200 difference does make a difference in my lineups. And then I like the 2 guys from the Pitt and Cincy game. You mentioned Chase Brown with Samaje Perine being out. He's been awesome since Joe Flacco's kind of taken over as the starting quarterback there. Pittsburgh's been awful defensively. Jalen Warren's had something like 90% of the running back touches over the last 3 games. You got the coach speak there too. And you got the bad wind in that game too. So I like those 3 the best. But, don't mind CMC. Don't mind Aaron Jones at low ownership. He played 71% of the snaps last week, which was a season high. Pretty good game environment there at home against Chicago. You can go back to Rico Dowdle. I know the game script could get away from him, but Atlanta's been really bad against the run, really good against the pass. So early in the game, they were going to probably try to, give Dowdle a bunch of touches. In terms of large field stuff, you can maybe look at RJ Harvey with J.K. Dobbins out. And then I'll save the rest for Beer.
Yeah, I like Harvey. Beer, who are you thinking?
Jacobs definitely my favorite this week. Noto laid a lot of that out. You got weather concern. The biggest thing, this team needs to get back on track, and they want to run the ball. If they can, this is definitely a matchup that they should be able to run as much as they want. Yes, Emmanuel Wilson will be involved, but Jacobs still, 20-plus touches. There's only 1 game this season he hasn't scored a touchdown, so you can almost book that every single week for him, and I just think he's going to get a huge workload here against a Giants team that horrible against the run. So he's probably my favorite on the high end. I don't mind CMC, mostly as a running back. We're going to talk a lot of Cardinals here, I'm sure, and some of the other skill positions. So he fits those builds. I love the Bijan call. I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership. We understand the concerns. The narrative that Carolina's run D is much better, and it is from last season. They were historically bad, but they have allowed a good amount of rushing yards here over the last 3 weeks. So it's not a defense that we're that concerned with. Plus, Bijan gives you that big play element. And the guy can score from anywhere, going to be involved in the passing game. So I think he's a great tournament play. I love Aaron Jones this week, guys. And, early in the week, he was showing low ownership, that number kind of trending up a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on that. But he's pretty much relegated Jordan Mason to bench status, and this could change, but he's so involved, 71% of the snaps last week, catching, 4 passes a game over the last few weeks, and a good matchup with a middling Chicago Bears run D. So he really stands out. And then some options I don't think are going to have a ton of ownership that I like. I do like DeAndre Swift on the other side against Minnesota, a guy that's making some big plays this season. Even with Monangai getting some touches, he still brings that big play element. So I like him. RJ Harvey is too cheap right now without Dobbins. It's not an easy matchup whatsoever, but another guy that can score from anywhere on the field, especially in the passing game. So I do think that we're going to see, some other guys work into that Denver backfield with Beatty getting some run, but his workload should increase significantly. So he's too cheap for that role. I think Woody Marks is going to go overlooked this week against the Titans. That's a bottom 5 team against the run this season in DraftKings points allowed. I think Kamani Vidal, with the workload he's getting, is intriguing in tournaments. I like the Rico call as well against Atlanta, another bottom 5 team against running backs. And then you mentioned a game, Kirk, I think is going to go overlooked is Seattle and the Rams. I mean, it's 2 very good defenses, but Kyron Williams, specifically on FanDuel, where he's going to get some goal line work. And yes, Seattle's been outstanding against the run, but he's going to have opportunities to put some touchdowns on the board. So, at 1, 2, 3% owned on him, I think it's very intriguing in tournaments this week.
Yeah, I like that. And it seems like everybody's going to have this Warren Brown combo and, the high and wide receivers. And so we're sitting here with Bijan, who after 7 weeks was the number one running back and, just had a couple of poor games, one that was average and then 2 poor games. But this is a great matchup for him. Carolina defense did start off pretty good against the run, but now they're settling back to who they used to be. And I love your Jacobs call, like the ups. And people forget that he was dealing with a calf injury for a couple weeks there. And, with limited, the Packers being limited without, their Kraft and there always seems like someone's injured. Golden, we don't know if he's going to play this week or not. Like this just screams Jacobs game, especially if you correlate him with the Green Bay defense. Like this is the classic Green Bay defense against Jameis Winston, who's another year older, and you got upside, could get the ball a ton. Josh Jacobs, you got Bijan, you got McCaffrey. It's like if you make a build with these top 3 or 2 of the top 3 high-end guys, I think that's going to be a little bit different. And
or go in that same range with, again, Woody Marks. Did he take over the backfield? We're not sure, and that's going to keep his ownership down. It certainly looked like he did. We've seen this before, and they rug pulled us, but it's hard to look at those two and not say this guy is clearly better than Nick Chubb. So I think he's a guy that's going to go low owned. And again, Vidal, Harvey, there's ways that you can even stay in that same range if you want to. And it's not that Warren and Brown are bad plays, but 30% on these guys, that's some hefty tournament ownership.
The big dog sitting there too, 6,600. Yeah. All right. Any more plays you guys like that you didn't mention?
I think that's it. Gave a pretty hefty list there.
Yeah, so. we got enough.
Do you guys like either Tampa Bay running back?
I am intrigued with Sean Tucker. We know Buffalo gives it up on the ground, like we talked about, like we saw last week with our boy Devin Achane. So it's, who's going to get the work there? Is White starting to fall out of favor again? We saw Tucker much more involved last week. It could flip back to White being the primary back. So intrigued. I haven't landed there yet, but that's certainly a situation I'm digging into.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable enough for White. I was leaning White, but I do worry about Tucker, so I'm not sure what to do there. But all right. Let's take it on over to the quarterback position, the buffet of cheap guys I'll start with, and that's J.J. McCarthy, 5,200. He has elite weapons, so you can give him that. He will run the ball. That's why he's projecting pretty well, but he also hasn't impressed that much, and he's going to be chalk. So there's a lot to worry about there. I think Jacoby Brissett is just too cheap. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So he's played 4 games. All 4 of his games are over 20 fantasy points. He's 4,900 in a game with a low total. I mean, a low spread and against a defense missing like most of their key guys. So plus, obviously, you can stack him with any of the cheap options because Marvin Harrison Jr. is out now. So he's got cheap weapons, and then everybody's going to be all over Trey McBride this week because he should just see. I mean, man, that workload he had is just insane. We'll get to it, but probably going to have an even better workload this week. So Brissett certainly in play. The only problem is he doesn't run. He's not running anymore because he's an old man these days. But Aaron Rodgers is showing some decent ownership. I'm all set with that guy. I thought he just looked so bad the other night. And it is Cincy defense, so I do get it, but I feel like all they have to do is run the ball to win, and it's Arthur Smith and Tomlin. They'll probably just do that this week. So I'm out on him, but Justin Herbert's there, Joe Flacco, the high-end guys. Josh Allen is going to be low owned. Patrick Mahomes is going to be low owned. So there's a lot of ways you can go, and I also like Sam Darnold. I don't care if this Rams D is pretty good. Just pairing him with JSN just seems like a cheat code almost. So that's what I'm thinking. But Beer, I'll let you start this one off. Who are your guys?
Yeah, Brissett's my favorite. Now, it's kind of a tale of two sites. DraftKings at 4,900, he's probably the highest owned quarterback. And quarterback is one you never really worry about ownership. I don't think it's going to get too out of control, but it's such a good spot for him, even without Marvin Harrison. I mean, we'll get to McBride. You got the cheap value wide receivers. I think there's other ways that you can utilize him as well. And you mentioned all the injuries on the Niners. This is a team that's not generating much pressure at all. So he should be able to sit back and pick this defense apart. So FanDuel for him, not going to be as highly owned. The price is probably where it should be. DraftKings, he's probably about $1,000 underpriced. So I think he's playable in all formats, cash games, even in tournaments at that ownership. He stands out. I'm a little worried about JJ McCarthy being so popular. Understand why and the sentiments, and it's easy to stack him, but that one it makes me a little bit nervous. So I'll be underweight on him. I'm still going to have some, but probably not as high as the field on that one. I like Joe Flacco a lot, and kind of surprised at the ownership. Now, wind, could play a factor in this one, but you talk about the most condensed target tree. I mean, Cincinnati's right there. It's Chase, it's Higgins. Chase Brown is going to get a little bit. So this should be a higher scoring game. So Flacco really stands out as a pivot in this value section. Brock Purdy, again, depending on sites, showing more ownership on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel, but him returning to the lineup is always interesting. People, we'll wait and see what he looks like. Is he healthy? I think he's very intriguing. If I'm spending, it's probably on Josh Allen. We'll see if Tampa Bay can kind of push this team a little bit, but he feels like a great tournament option this week to get a little bit different. Justin Herbert in a fantastic matchup. Noto knows better than anybody. This Jacksonville team against quarterbacks, absolutely horrific. So with him, it's always a matter of who do I pick? Who do I stack him with? There's so many options there, and that tends to lower his ownership. But he's very interesting this week. And then I like both sides of that Rams-Seattle game. Again, it's two very good defenses, but both of these quarterbacks playing at an MVP level, some high-end wide receivers to stack them with. We got a 48.5, 49-point total in this game. So I like both Stafford and Darnold, and it's tough to stack them. You throw in Stafford, Puka, Adams, you're already pretty much out of money. Same with Darnold and JSN. That makes it intriguing, where it's not an easy stack. It tends to scare people away. So I think both of those guys interesting.
Yep. Think about Flacco. I mean, that Pitt D just looked like they couldn't stop Herbert, who had no offensive line whatsoever. And Slay is probably going to be out again this week, so with the concussion. So, yeah, Flacco the wind maybe is a little bit of a concern, but he should be able to pick this team apart with, like you said, that condensed target tree. Who are your favorites, Noto?
With you guys on Jacoby Brissett. It's just too cheap for a guy that's going to get you 20 plus fantasy points. Pretty good matchup against San Fran. At home in the dome, 4,900, great price point. I do like JJ McCarthy a little bit more than Beer. The Bears have the fourth lowest pressure rate so far this season. McCarthy's got some rushing upside too. I think he's had at least 25 rushing yards in all four of his starts. I know it hasn't been great with his wideouts, but it feels like a squeaky wheel week for Justin Jefferson, which we'll get to for sure. I do like the Justin Herbert call. I'll play anyone under center against my Jaguars. It's just a great spot for him. And then the classic old school correlation play, Jameis Winston with the defense he's going against. I mean, how do we not play Jameis with some Packers D? Pick 6 or 2, and then he's going to come back and throw a few touchdowns.
The correlated QB with the opposing defense stack. Jameis is the only guy who can make that profitable.
I would say there's not many you can do that with, and he's I want to know what his interception odds got to be way up there. I'm going to look that up.
And it seems like when he throws one, it's always for pick 6 too.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting to see how he looks. I'm betting not very good, but you never know. All right. Any Davis Mills love? Millie Maker winner, Davis Mills?
He was impressive for sure. So
that was against the Jags, though. Doesn't count.
Oh, Titans not. I mean, a little better, I guess, but
yeah, I think. It's certainly intriguing with Nico.
Can't believe he had 29. That's wild.
Crazy, right? All right, let's move on over to wide receiver. Leading the way is Jamar Chase. Flacco playing a secondary that's just underperformed all season. Divisional game. We were just going crazy about the workload he was getting. 23 targets, 19 targets. Then had a low game against the Bears for only 8 targets, where T. Higgins went nuclear, but still had 20 fantasy points. With Flacco, he just offers a really high floor and the highest ceiling on the slate for a wide receiver. So like him, I also like JSN, 8,900 there. I like to pair him with Darnold and then try to make maybe use Williams, Kylan at running back to get a little different. I think this is certainly a stackable game. So I like that. There's Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be chalk this week. He's all they have pretty much for Jameis. So he should get peppered with targets. I don't know how he's going to do on these deep balls. And, I don't know if Jameis is going to – he doesn't have a high ADOT to begin with, but he's going to have to in this game probably. So I get it with him. The targets should be there regardless. But then there's Puka always. There's Justin Jefferson. I mean, if JJ is going to be talked, you got to imagine Justin Jefferson is probably going to be chalky too, but doesn't seem like it that high. But 12 to 15% ownership I'm showing depending on the place you're looking. Can DK Metcalf ever do anything? I know it's like crazy, but he should. And then there's Jawan Jennings, there's Romeo Doubs, there's a ton of options. So set me straight. Where am I? Hone me in somewhere, Noto.
Yeah, so the start of the week, I was preferring Jamar Chase over the other elite receivers. I think right now I'm probably leaning JSN. Look, the Seahawks just haven't been pushed very much this season, and now they're 3-point underdogs. I think there's going to be a bunch of points scored in this game. The total's actually gone up, whereas the totals in the other games have kind of come down throughout the week. And he's averaging 116 yards per game. He doesn't have like a ton of competition for targets. I know they brought in Rashid Shaheed, who's interesting in large field stuff, but man, it feels like a big JSN week is coming. Certainly don't mind Jamar Chase. He's averaging 14 targets per game with Flacco under center. And then, you mentioned Justin Jefferson. I like him. You can always talk yourself into Puka Nacua. I think the guys that are going to get overlooked are, Jefferson, Rashee Rice, and Emeka Egbuka. Just like it's hard to fit all these guys, so they're probably going to be lower owned. In the mid-range, I really like Parker Washington. We'll see if Brian Thomas Jr. ends up playing. He was able to, get 3 limited practices in this week, but it was a high ankle sprain. They were kind of expecting him to be out a while, so I'm kind of thinking he sits again. If he does, Washington has been really good, and he got the double dip touchdown last week. I didn't even know he returned punts until I faded him last week and saw that extra touchdown added to his game log. So that was a little frustrating, but I like him against the Chargers. I like Michael Wilson at 3,800. I think he's going to step in as a wide receiver 1 role. If you don't want to play Wilson at higher ownership, you go Greg Dortch at 3,300. The Blitz always loves Greg Dortch. He's always the guy that pops in the Blitz. So don't mind that. So many guys here. I don't know if I want to play Wan'Dale. Romeo Doubs is in a good spot, but who do you like?
Yeah, there's a lot to like here. So I think Chase, JSN are clearly the top 2 wide receivers. I'm on JSN as well. Chase, we saw have that monster game against Pittsburgh. You got to think they're going to dedicate a little bit more coverage to him. So I absolutely love T. Higgins this week in tournaments. Not that Chase is not in play, but Higgins very, very low owned. We just saw a massive game out of him. So we know the upside is there. Or you can stack them both together and kind of lower some of that Chase ownership. So Higgins is one of my favorites in tournaments. Love the Rashee Rice call. No Patrick Surtain's really going to open some things up for him. And he's so involved in that passing game. Some other ones I think will be lower owned this week. Romeo Doubs against the Giants, basically operating as their wide receiver 1 now. So a good spot for him. Love the Wilson and Dortch call. Wilson's ownership is just continuing to trend up. And Dortch should be really low owned. So that's a way to lower some of your Jacoby Brissett percentages. I think Ladd McConkey really starting to take over as the number 1 receiver for that Chargers team. So really like the stack with him and Herbert. Both Vikings guys are in play, but Jefferson's going to see some ownership, and Jordan Addison going to see very little ownership. So I like him. Abuka is going to be loaned against Buffalo, so he stands out. Nico Collins, another name I like on the high end that's going to have no ownership. And then Ray McLeod. If Wandale's going to be 30% owned, I'm not interested in that. Give me some Ray McLeod with Jameis, who's going to be throwing a ton. So whether they're playing from behind, he's turning it over, he's going to be winging the ball. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to go around here. And Ray super cheap, but with no ownership. So that one risky, but I think it's a great tournament option.
All right. So I like looking at this. The one that stands out to me is Shakir, 5,300. I just always playing guys against Tampa. I think their games always shoot out. And, without Kincaid, I think someone has to step up. And so it seems like a good spot for him. And then other guy I have a question about, Noto, since it's your team, the Jags. If people are going to Parker Washington, can Jacoby Myers break out this week? Cheaper, 4,600.
I don't know. We kind of like him as like the slot guy. I didn't see where he lined up as much or where he lined up last week, but Parker Washington's kind of been taking over that role. So I'd have to look into it a little bit more. I don't know. He did catch all 3 of his targets last week. So let me look into that.
Full week of practice, get a little bit comfortable. I just see the price difference and the ownership difference there. And I'm like, wait a minute. So, and, there's a lot of, there's so many good plays here, like, because the concentration of ownership on the high end, there's going to be a mid-range that, like I said, like Shakir, can we get DK Metcalf going? Beer just mentioned McConkey. We got John Jennings, Nico Collins. There's so many plays. And then obviously the cheap guys, Wilson and Dortch, if you need them. All right, let's move it on over to tight end. This is just Trey. You have to play Trey McBride. No,
that's I don't care what he costs or what his ownership is. This is the one guy I'm really starting the majority of my lineups with. So even at, I don't even know what we're showing for ownership. I'm going to say it's not high enough. This guy, Brissett find somebody that loves you like he loves Trey McBride, and you're set. 11.5 targets per game, 24.5 DraftKings points per game. 5 touchdowns for a guy that could never score with Kyler Murray. Now you have no Marvin Harrison Jr. So, Wilson Dortch going to be involved. But this is the one that I don't care what the ownership is. It's not high enough. So, Trey McBride all day.
Yeah, he's 6,300, and he should be like a 7,900 wide receiver. He should be like a 79, an 8K wide receiver.
Yes.
Pretty much is the way I look at it.
Chase, JSN, McBride are your top 3 pass catchers on the slate, in my opinion.
Love to hear that. If I did want to fade, or if you wanted to go double tight end, Gadsden, was cooking until he got injured a little bit. Fine now. George Kittle, I get the play, but probably I would just go Gadsden so McBride or Gadsden, and then maybe Theo Johnson, because he's like Wandale is his only competition, it seems, for targets. So maybe Jameis hones in on Theo Johnson. I could see that working out. But yeah, it's really, to me, it's just play Trey McBride and just move on.
There's other guys, whether you want to get off them a little bit or double up. I think double tight end might be popular this week. So Cade Otton is very interesting. He's kind of like Dalton Schultz, but without the ownership, kind of boring, kind of unassuming, but when these guys are out of the lineup, it's Abuka, it's Cade Otton, and it's Tez Johnson. And a matchup against Buffalo should be some points in that game. So I do like him. The Pittsburgh guys, let's not forget, they scored 4 touchdowns through the air against Cincinnati last time out, and all of the tight ends scored here. So it's a matter of which one do you like. I favor Jonnu a little bit. Freiermuth did have 2 touchdowns in that game. So, if you are playing Rodgers, I actually like going with the tight ends. Metcalf has a shockingly tough matchup. Cincinnati's been very good against wide receiver 1 somehow. So I think those guys are sneaky. Dawson Knox, more so on FanDuel, that tends to always find the end zone when Kincaid's out. And then a super deep play. We love Trey McBride. We love Arizona. Elijah Higgins should see a much bigger role this week. Basically a wide receiver playing tight end. So I think he is very, very interesting in tournaments this week.
That is a dart. I like it on a week when everyone's going to be there. At Trey McBride. No Darnell Washington. You said the other two guys were fit.
Big
Darnell. He can't.
I love him because he's a big body like myself, but I would rather play the other two. And again, those are all risky, but they should find some success. And Cincinnati, historically bad against tight ends this season.
All right, Noto.
Yeah, so I know you guys already gave all the reasons to play McBride, but I had to throw this in there. In 54 games in his career without Jacoby Brissett, he had 7 touchdowns. In 4 games with Brissett, he has 5 touchdowns. So the dude's been a monster with Jacoby under center. I think my plan in single entry small field stuff is to go with the Jacoby Wilson McBride stack. And then if I need to make up points, then you can easily pivot to Kittle instead of McBride, and then you can pivot to Dortch instead of Wilson. I think that's kind of the plan that I'm going to do depending on how my morning guys end up playing. So yeah, I'm playing a bunch of McBride. I don't mind Kittle. Don't mind Rondé Gadsden against this Jaguars team that's been terrible against the pass. But it just feels like you're losing points if you're playing anyone other than McBride. And then to circle back on Jacoby Myers, yeah, lined up in the slot 44% of the time last week, ran a route on 50% of the snaps. So I think those numbers will go up. So I don't mind that call, Kirk.
All right, let's move it on over to defense. It was nice having Bobby. I caught up with him this week. I went and got coffee with him in the North End because I had a doctor's appointment out there. His restaurant, he showed me all around, which was nice. So shout out to Bobby. Although his Carolina play, it didn't end. It was fine. They scored 5 fantasy points, but it was a weird week for defenses. All right, so we've got, I think, who's going to be the most popular. I think a lot of people are playing the Texans or going cheap with the Titans. I also think the Chargers are in play, and obviously, like I said, Green Bay is what's the top one for me against Jameis. So I love the Jacobs Green Bay pairing, so I'm probably going to be doing that. But Beer, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I think the Falcons and the Titans on FanDuel will be pretty popular. Just cheap, probably too cheap. Titans even on DraftKings at 2,300. I think the Texans will be pretty popular. So I do like the Green Bay call. Like I said, you don't get a much better matchup than Jameis Winston. So. But as far as some other teams, I don't think we'll see a ton of ownership that I like. First one is Baltimore, who's starting to get healthy, getting some guys back. It's a matchup with Dylan Gabriel and in the wind, and they just don't have the weaponry. So I think they're interesting, whether you want to pair them with Henry or not. I think you can play them. We like that Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game, but I think the Steelers' defense is a little pricier than they should be. So that one you'll get low ownership on. They'll pay up to be contrarian. And I like Minnesota. This is not a great matchup for Caleb Williams, and going to put a lot of pressure on him. So an Aaron Jones pairing with Minnesota, something I like. But those 3 stand out to me as lower owned in some pretty good spots.
Who are you using, Noto?
Defense is so dumb. Jets get 2 touchdowns.
Get rid of it.
And then Jaguars give up 29 to Davis Mills and still get there thanks to a touchdown. I don't know. Yeah, if I'm saving, I don't hate the Broncos at 2,600. Don't hate the Titans at 2,300. I think my favorite's probably the Packers, whether you want to play them with Jameis, like we talked about. Like, we're kind of joking about it, but I really do think that pairing could work.
Oh, that's in play for sure.
Or whether you want to pair him up with Josh Jacobs. I like the Packers a lot, but I've just never been great at defense because I play the defenses that are in good spots, and that just doesn't mean anything for fantasy.
I looked up Winston's interception number. Anyone want to guess the line on 1, 2, and 3 interceptions? You want to make some money this weekend?
I'll go minus 150 for 1.
Yeah, that's what I would have said.
Minus 215 for 1. For
Okay.
2, you get plus 172, and for 3, plus 370.
Wow.
That's where
little
I'm
ladder.
FanDuel.
Guess we're gonna have to build a little ladder.
Go
INT
interception
ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dynasty Day, four interceptions and 3 touchdowns. That'd be great for Winston and the Packers.
All right, let's build a lineup. So what I'm going to build ours first, so there's no influence from Don Yeezy's lineup that's submitted to me, and then we'll finish his for him. Who wants to take the first reins here? Who's got the stack?
I want McBride, and do we want to go Brissett here on DraftKings? It's going to be popular.
What about going Purdy?
Don't hate that.
Coming back with McBride.
That'll be a little different.
Yeah. So you want to go CMC or Jennings or?
I think we do them both. CMC, Jennings, come back with McBride.
No Ricky Pearsall love.
Oh yeah, maybe Pearsall.
Now he's intriguing. It's also, are these guys just going to eat into each other? So it's become tougher to stack this team. So maybe we avoid.
So we just make CMC and get it all.
Yeah, maybe we just
don't need
McBride and CMC
and. So Purdy or Brissett, or neither of them.
Let's leave that blank for now. See what it looks like.
So then let's throw another stack in here. So who? So we got to go Flacco, no?
There you go. That ain't bad.
And T. Higgins.
I love me some T.
And then Warren.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
And then what are we doing?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're down in the depths now.
we're overspending here.
Yeah.
Gotta go Ray McLeod for 3.
Oh wait, we got
or Dortch, but we'd have McBride and Dortch.
Do we put Chase in?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't need him.
Okay.
Who's our favorite mid-range?
Can you play Flacco in a single stack?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, it'll be different.
Okay.
I think some mid-range names that are Rice is not mid-range, but Addison's interesting.
We could play Justin Jefferson as a cheaper high-end guy.
What about Rice
We could
with
put
Harvey?
Shakir. I like Shakir. No, nobody likes this. Everyone's like, oh.
I'd say see what Rice and Harvey look. Of course, we only have 42. Yeah, that's going to be tight.
I like Beers, Ray
money for that.
We got Dort, so let's throw Dort.
Well, Ray, minimum price, baby. You get off the Wandale.
I won't be able to add him in this because he's currently not in the player pool since he's still on the practice squad, but we can keep that in mind for him.
Or so we get rid of Flacco, go back to Jacoby or Purdy.
Sure.
How about a Jacoby double with McBride and Dortch instead of Wilson?
Now we're talking.
How much we got there for a wide receiver?
4,800 left.
So plug in a cheaper defense.
Geez, pricing's tight, huh? If you use CNC. All right.
6K left.
So we're going Shakir and somebody.
Get Jacobs in there. Not with Shakir though.
All right, Jacobs and then who? Wilson.
See
is
what's
it?
left?
We're gonna have to go Wilson.
Oh, yeah. Then it's a mega Cardinal stack. What do we got left?
43.
Oh boy.
All right. This wasn't our best lineup. Well, we've
Sometimes those are the ones
right
that
now is way better than anything we started with. The Brissett, I think Brissett should be triple stacked with how cheap those guys are.
all right.
I don't mind it.
I'm fine with it.
voice
It'll
the
be
reason.
different.
And I love
a lot of doubles, but
I love Jacobs. All right, so there's that. So unfortunately, we didn't influence, but Don Yeezy's lineup is Jacoby Brissett, Let's erase this. TJ.
Waiting to find who else is in it since it's the
We are
Jacoby
Jennings, Washington, and Wilson. So it's Jennings, Washington, Parker, Washington, and Wilson. And then he's got McBride. He's got CMC. And then he wants us to finish it. So we need 2 spots there for the running backs.
Let's plug Jacobs in again.
How much we got? Can we afford a Green Bay D?
Then we'd have 40.
Then we could go cheap receiver.
Well, that's
40.
Dortch, right?
What do we? We got more than for him.
Is the double tight end lineup more in play this week since everyone's going to be playing McBride anyway?
I think so.
Yeah.
You do like Theo or Pitts or Kate Otten.
44 should be. Let's see what we got there.
I heard him say in chat earlier he did like Kate Otten, so that works.
All right. There we go. The Don Yeezy segment. If you want to submit a lineup, DM me on Twitter. We'll use yours next week, whoever I pick, if I get any DMs. But if not, maybe we'll give Don Yeezy a second crack, or maybe we'll kill the segment. We'll see. But all right. So are we all set here? Any final words for the people, fellas?
No, I mean, great crowd as usual, some great interaction. So send in some lineups. We want to be, in sync with the chat and see what their thoughts are on the week. So we did have a question, Pearsall or Jennings. I think I prefer Pearsall. Jennings, I think, is going to be more popular.
Yeah, definitely. And Pearsall's going to be like the forgotten man. So
yep.
There we go. Noto, final words for the people?
Yeah, a little bit tender today. Got my old vasectomy done yesterday. So I'm looking forward to a couple days on the couch with my bag of peas every hour.
It's never been a more low T show than it is today.
No kidding.
Funny, and we took our baby in with us, and the doctor was trying to talk us out of getting it because she's so cute. But yeah, so no more surprises for me moving forward.
That's a good thing. I'm glad you ended the show with that, not started the show with that.
Well, I had hand, foot, and mouth disease this week in the household with my kid, and Noto just add the gonads to that as well, and you can cover all the body parts here. But beers, everything's healthy and good with beer.
Beer's having some surgery next week, so
what's beer doing?
What are you doing?
Little reconstructive foot surgery.
Man, and I'll throw in I'm gonna have to do a colonoscopy.
But listen to us, man. This is the old man takes podcast. Yeah.
So this ended on a weird
the OG
way
show
here.
now.
But yeah, now this is the OG show. All right, so this has been the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. I want to say thank you to Noto, thank you to Beer, and most notably, thank you to producer TJ, who I keep forgetting to thank every week. Thank you to chat, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks.